Is the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And we have with us Dr. Al-Hadid from Tennessee State University and Dr. Baldwin from Vanderbilt University. And of course, Dr. Baldwin, we promised that we would give you an opportunity to sort of paint the conditions for that surrounded the assassination of Dr. King.
Yeah, Dr. Al-Hadid was talking about the climate that sort of preceded the assassination of Malcolm X. The climate that led to King's assassination, I think, is quite interesting. He had dealt with the issues of basic constitutional rights up to 1964. 1965, the struggle for political enfranchisement. After the Selma campaign, Dr. King announced that the movement was moving into another phase, which was economic justice and international peace. And he began to attack capitalism, to a greater extent than previously. He began to talk about peace in Vietnam and began to attack America for her violence abroad in the form of the Vietnam War. And I think as he addressed these issues and became a part of the anti-war movement and made the call for economic empowerment, a restructuring of the capitalistic system, as he got involved in this, I think the ruling elite conspired to silence him. He was perceived as a threat to the country. He was perceived as a traitor by many. And as he called for a restructuring of the economic system, or a redistribution of wealth and resources in the society, many of the liberals who had followed him previously began to back away. Jews began to back away from the movement. And I think that helped create the climate, his call for economic justice and his involvement in the international peace movement.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Al-Hadid, with the assassination of Malcolm X, you've indicated not only the climate, but what are some of the events that you believe important that eventually led up to his assassination? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, one thing you have to look at is the level of petty jealousy that was taking place inside of the Nation of Islam. And also the fact that two of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's sons, Wallace Muhammad and Akbar Muhammad, were trying to move the Nation of Islam toward mainstream or Sunni Islam. So in a certain way, and Malcolm was a part of that, so in a certain way you had a revolution within a revolution. You had an organization that was preaching a type of black religious nationalism that was not embraced by mainstream Muslims. Then you had three people inside that organization was trying to line it up with mainstream Islam. So when Malcolm was sort of suspended from the organization, he knew at that point that he was not going to be admitted back in. So he established his own community. He established the Muslim Mosque Incorporated in March of 1964. Then in April that same year, he made the pilgrimage to Mecca to legitimize his approach to Islam. And then when he traveled through Africa, especially in Ghana, he noticed that the people there were just expatriates, but they weren't connecting with the struggle inside of the United States in terms of African Americans. So he formed a second organization, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. And so like Dr. King, once he started dealing with international issues, once he started critiquing capitalism and moving the struggle more toward class rather than race, that's the point at which he became a threat to the movement. And so when he came back inside of the United States, he was working to establish rapprochement with the civil rights movement. And as he moved more toward mainstream Islam, he became more acceptable to the people in the civil rights movement. And he kept reaching out for Dr. King. But because of forces of history or circumstances of history, they weren't actually able to form a coalition